I found this dresser on Facebook Marketplace. As soon as I saw the picture, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. I wanted to paint the drawer fronts, the door, and the apron black, keep the frame wooden, and stain it a dark color. That was 2 years ago. But when I finally started working on this dresser, I wasn't so sure anymore. So I decided just to start and trust the process. Hi everybody, welcome to another makeover. While I was stripping, I decided to stick to my plan and paint the drawer fronts, but I needed to clean them first. This dresser, or I should probably call it a sideboard, was used in the kitchen before. I know that because when I picked it up, I could definitely smell that the spices had been stored in there. The drawer fronts were pretty greasy, so I'm using a kitchen degreaser to clean them. And oh my god, I had to get pretty creative to be able to clean those tongues and grooves. At some point, I even thought it might have taken me just as long to strip the drawers as I spent cleaning them. I went ahead and started scuff sanding the drawer fronts, and seeing how easily the finish was coming off, I thought maybe I could strip them instead of painting. And here I am trying to make this hard decision. This is not staged. I actually managed to capture my hesitation on camera. And it's better to regret something you did than something you didn't do. With that in mind, I decided to strip one drawer. And it took me about 45 minutes just for this one drawer. My camera even stopped filming somewhere in the middle. Knowing that I still had 5 more drawers and the door to go, I decided to switch back to scuff sanding and painting. To be honest, that wasn't the main reason I stopped stripping. Priming and painting would probably take about the same amount of time, but I looked at the dresser, then at all the makeovers I've done recently, and I realized I haven't been painting in a while. I've mostly been restoring, so I wanted to have some fun with this one. I had a couple of watermarks on the top, and with shaky hands, I mixed some oxalic acid. If you're new here, I had troubles with oxalic acid recently. It caused my finish to turn white and peel, no matter how thoroughly I washed the surface afterward or how many times I sanded it. I even thought maybe I was adding too much oxalic acid, so this time I added way less. Once the oxalic acid dried, I first deactivated it with baking soda solution, and then, off camera, I washed the surface with some warm water. For the paint, instead of black, I decided to go with this green color. And by the way, this paint is thrifted. I don't usually use this brand because it's not available in the local hardware stores near me. I'd have to go to the city to get it, and this one I did get from the city, but I found it at the big thrift store that sells building materials. I had never noticed their paint section before. I don't know if it's new or I just missed it, but last time I went, I got a quart of paint for $5, and it was insane. I suspect it was right before their major yearly cleanup, so they lowered the prices not just for paint, but for other items too. I probably would have gotten more, but most of what they had was latex paint for walls, so I had to go through all the cans to find furniture paint. And I can tell you right now, I am obsessed with this one. The coverage was great. I only needed 2 coats, but as usual, I did 3 because it's me. I do it just in case. As you can see, I applied it with brush and there were hardly any brush strokes left. I wanted the wooden parts of the dresser to be in a lighter color, so I decided to try very thin hazelwood stain. Lately, I've been seeing people using it for an aged or bleached look, but I wasn't really a fan of the result, at least on oak. It looked like a whitewash and it had a slight pinkish tint. So I decided to mix things up a bit. I applied hazelwood again, and while it was still wet, I added a little bit of early American stain to give it a light brown tone. This time I really liked the result. And here comes the nightmare. One of the drawers had a broken button that I needed to replace, but someone had already DIY'd these drawers before me. I think the bottoms were coming loose, probably because some missing nails, so someone decided to use glue to keep them in place. And I had to cut through the glue, and that was a job and a half. Even when I managed to remove the glue, or at least I thought I did, I still couldn't pull out the drawer bottom. So I had to do it in parts. A lot of fun here, eh? I was one slider short for one of the drawers, and ever since I started working on this project, I've been trying to find a replacement but had no luck. Fortunately, those plastic drawer glides fit perfectly onto the wooden slider inside the cabinet. But when installing this plastic glide, the drawer slides on its bottom along this wooden slider, and it wears out. To prevent this, I applied a strip of edge banding and then attached the glide. Finally, I was ready to apply the top coat. Everything went smoothly with the drawer fronts, and then came the moment of truth. I started applying polyurethane to the top, and it happened again. It started turning white. This situation led me to do an experiment where I figured out that it wasn't me. I wasn't doing anything wrong. This particular polyurethane reacts with the surface that was processed with oxalic acid beforehand. I used 3 different polys, including this one, and the other 2 worked like a charm. I'm sorry I didn't film the experiment because I was upset and I didn't even think about filming. I had no choice but to sand the top and the sides again, and I did it off camera, but then I ran into one more problem. I didn't have enough hazelwood stain, and our local hardware store didn't have it in stock as well. That's why I had to switch to plan B and do a paint wash. I figured out that those 2 top drawers were not originally meant for the dresser. They came from the matching nightstands that were part of a set. They were slightly narrower and a lot shorter. And because of that, there was a visible gap between the drawer and the top. To hide it, I decided to add wooden planks in that space and paint them the same green color I used for the drawer fronts. Once the coat of paint wash was completely dry, I applied the same polyurethane, again with shaky hands. Yes, I am stubborn. Instead of using a different brand of poly, I just wanted to make this one work for me. And it did. This time it turned out great. And that's pretty much it. All I had left to do was attach the hardware and the hinges and put the door back in place. And we are done here. Let's have a quick look at the before. And here's the after. And I try to do my best to show the dresser the way it looked in real life, but the pictures just didn't do it justice. I promise it looked way better in person. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video.